The Australian GP delivered a shocking twist in the 2025 F1 season. McLaren dominated almost entirely, with Lando Norris securing a flawless victory, leaving Max Verstappen with no answers. Even Helmut Marko has pinpointed Red Bull's biggest weakness for 2025. But can the Austrian team find a quick fix, or are we witnessing the end of an era? Norris took the lead early and simply vanished into the distance, while Verstappen fought hard but had no pace to challenge him. The key issue? Red Bull's car is chewing through tires far too quickly. This is a serious problem, and while Marko has acknowledged it, the real question is it fixable in time? Is Red Bull losing its edge? McLaren outshined Red Bull not just in raw pace, but in strategy and car balance. Verstappen relied on yellow flags and safety cars just to stay in the fight. But when the race entered its final stages, the Dutchman simply lacked the power to challenge Norris. This sends a clear message. Red Bull is no longer in complete control. But is this just a temporary setback or a sign of deeper trouble? For the past few years, Red Bull's dominance has been rooted in superior car development, but things have changed. With regulations now frozen, development loopholes are minimal. If their tire degradation issue is structural, it could take months to fix. And by then, McLaren could already be ahead. McLaren no longer needs luck to win. What makes Red Bull's situation even worse is that McLaren no longer relies on others making mistakes to win. Norris faced tricky weather, strategy shifts, and intense pressure from Verstappen, but stayed composed. In 2024, he might have cracked under the pressure. In 2025, he looks like a real title contender. And here's the big question. Is Verstappen ready for this new challenge? For years, he dominated with a superior car. But without that advantage, will he remain as ruthless? Marko is pushing for urgent solutions, but is there a quick fix? If Adrian Newey and his team fail to respond in the next few races, things could spiral out of control. Red Bull has always been known for rapid development, but here's the catch. McLaren is already fast in every condition: rain, dry, safety cars, nothing stopped Norris. This is a game changer. Everyone expected a dream debut for Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari. Instead, we got a disaster. The 7-time world champion, used to fighting at the top, struggled in his Ferrari debut, far from what fans hoped. But is the blame all on him, or is Ferrari failing him too? Hamilton qualified only 8th, while Leclerc looked much more comfortable. During the race, things got worse. While his teammate climbed through the field, Hamilton got stuck behind a Williams, unable to overtake. Hamilton admitted he's still adapting to the car, but let's be honest, this isn't unusual. Senna struggled when he moved to Williams, Alonso took time to adapt at McLaren in 2015, and even Verstappen had difficulties when he first joined Red Bull. The issue isn't age, it's adaptation. Is Ferrari fully supporting Hamilton? One major concern. Ferrari's commitment to Hamilton. During the race, he complained over the radio that his engineer was talking too much, a clear sign of discomfort. While Leclerc already understands the team dynamic, Hamilton is still adjusting. But what if Ferrari isn't fully invested in helping him? Let's be real. Ferrari has a history of favoring their long-term drivers. Leclerc has been in the team for years, and there's a real possibility that Hamilton walked into a team that never truly wanted him as their leader. That said, if anyone knows how to bounce back, it's Hamilton. In 2009, he started the season struggling, but ended up winning races. In 2013, many doubted him at Mercedes, but he turned into an F1 legend. But here's the catch. Ferrari needs to step up too. The car must be competitive, and they must stop making basic strategy errors. The big question, will the team back Hamilton, or will he be left to fight alone? Just as the season kicked off, FIA dropped a last-minute rule change for the Chinese GP. But is this a fair decision or an attempt to control team performances? What's the real story behind this sudden crackdown on flex wings, and which team will suffer the most? The FIA has tightened flexibility tests on rear wings, dramatically reducing the allowed movement range. Under the new rule, with a 75 kilowatt load applied, the slot gap on the rear wing must not exceed 0.5 millimeters, a massive shift from the previous 2 millimeter limit. And the worst part? Teams were only notified on Monday. This means they have just days to redesign parts of their cars. A logistical nightmare. Is this fair play or political games? The timing raises serious questions. In Melbourne, every car passed the tests. So why did the FIA suddenly change the rules? Could onboard cameras have exposed something that static tests missed? Or is this just political pressure to slow down certain teams? Historically, last-minute rule changes have had huge consequences. Think of blown diffuser bans in 2011 or Mercedes' DAS system being outlawed. Could this be another game-changing moment? The biggest question, who suffers most? Red Bull and McLaren have been the prime suspects of using flex wings for extra straight-line speed. With these stricter tests, could they lose performance? Meanwhile, Mercedes and Ferrari, who push for the ban, might gain an advantage. If these rumors are true, this rule change could reshape the entire 2025 title fight. Lewis Hamilton has come to the defense of his new Ferrari race engineer, Riccardo Adami, after a rocky start to their partnership at the Australian Grand Prix. The season opener in Melbourne was full of tension, with Hamilton clearly frustrated over team radio due to miscommunication and an overload of information from the pit wall. The frustration was impossible to ignore. At one moment, Hamilton was asking for less information, and in another, he was left without crucial updates when the rain started to fall, leading to a major strategic blunder by Ferrari. This led F1 analysts Martin Brundle and Karun Chandok to criticize Hamilton's irritated reactions, suggesting that the seven-time world champion needs to work on his chemistry with Adami. But instead of blaming Adami, Hamilton took full responsibility for the growing pains in their working relationship. He made it clear to the press that this is a learning process and that Adami did his best under difficult conditions. I think Riccardo did a very good job. We are still getting to know each other. We will sit down, go through everything, review what was said. I usually don't like too much information during the race unless I need it, and then I ask. But he did his best today, and we'll move forward. That's a classy response from Hamilton. Many drivers would have thrown their engineer under the bus after such a chaotic race, but instead, he's taking a leadership role. However, let's be real, this shouldn't be happening at Ferrari. The lack of clear communication is the same issue that has cost them multiple race wins in the past. If the team wants to fight for championships, these radio misunderstandings need to be fixed, fast. Hamilton's communication issues were just the tip of the iceberg in Melbourne. The real disaster was Ferrari's strategic meltdown. When the rain arrived in the closing laps, Ferrari hesitated and left both Hamilton and Charles Leclerc out on dry tires for way too long. As a result, they threw away what could have been a podium finish. Hamilton even had a brief moment leading the race, as the front runners pitted early for intermediates. But Ferrari's slow decision-making ruined his race, dropping him to 10th place, scoring just one single point in his highly anticipated debut with the team. Let's be honest, this was classic Ferrari. Poor strategic calls, missed opportunities, slow decision-making under pressure. Ferrari cannot afford to make these mistakes if they want to challenge McLaren and Red Bull in 2025. If they had made the right call at the right time, Hamilton could have easily finished in the top 5. Despite a frustrating weekend, Hamilton is not giving up on Ferrari just yet. He remains optimistic that the SF25 has a lot more to offer than what was shown in Australia. At that moment, I didn't know, he said when asked if a podium was possible. I thought, wow, I'm in 3rd place. I even led for a few moments. I don't know if we had McLaren's pace, but I believe there is a lot more performance in the car. We just didn't unlock it this weekend. That's an interesting take, and it raises an important question. Is Ferrari hiding performance, or are they genuinely behind the top teams? There's no denying it. This was not the dream Ferrari debut Hamilton or his fans were hoping for. But should we hit the panic button yet? Not necessarily. Melbourne is an unusual circuit with unpredictable conditions. China will be the real test. Will Hamilton and Adami improve their communication? Will Ferrari finally execute a flawless strategy? Can the SF25 unlock its full potential? These are the questions every F1 fan wants answered, and we won't have to wait long. Did Ferrari cost Hamilton a big result with their poor strategy? Can he and Adami fix their communication before it becomes a serious problem? Will Ferrari finally give Hamilton a car that lets him fight for podiums? Or is this a bad sign for the season ahead? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you don't want to miss any breaking F1 news, make sure to like and subscribe to Formula One News for more analysis, updates, and exclusive insights.